All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Monday. Kidder and Kev live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We are live on Dayton's ESPN radio, 1410 Wing AM, live at wingam.com, live on the Johnson Kidder Show Facebook page, live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. We're live in quite a few places, and we're hoping to liven it up here on a Monday coming out of the weekend. I'm Justin Kidder. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
How was the old weekend?
Excellent weekend. I told you before we jumped on the air, I finally had a chance to go to that place, Jungle Gyms, down in Fairfield, the international supermarket. Got to partake in drinking beer as I did shopping at a grocery store. First time ever doing that. It was fun.
Yeah, I do that. Kroger gets mad, but
do you pay for the beer beforehand or after?
No, you know what I see people do a lot? Like they have all these groceries in their cart or basket or whatever, but they'll sometimes be eating something that they're about to buy. And then when they go out to check out, they'll have an open box of some kind of junk
Pringles
food or like a bag of chips. Like, yeah, like I'm amazed at how many people do that. But nonetheless, anyways, hope everyone had a great weekend. Had a, happy Easter, all that fun stuff. We're off and rolling here on a Monday. We got a lot to get into here today. But many ways to, told you can watch the show, but to interact with the show, the Justin Kidder Show Facebook page, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. That's where you could watch Kev and I, and you can interact with the topics at hand in the chat section. In fact, right off the bat already, Scott Campbell, he says, let's go Reds. Yes, we are celebrating a 4-4 start to the season because, well, where are you going to go? And I tell you there's a lot of places to go. You can go, 3-22 the first 25 games of the season. I'll take the 4-4 start, and we'll get to the Reds coming up later on. Nick Lodolo's been fantastic. Baseball is such a strange sport. Connor Overton, the 4 pitcher for the Reds in the rotation. The Reds are 2-0 when he's on the mound. He hasn't won 2 games, but they're 2-0 when he's on the mound. They're 0-2 when Hunter Green's on the mound. I know Hunter Green hasn't been perfect, but we'll get a chance to see Hunter Green coming up here in a couple days. But we will see Graham Ashcraft on the mound tonight. Reds and Braves, they kick off a 3-game series. The Reds go from Philly straight to Atlanta, and they'll have 3 before they return back home to Great American Ballpark later on this weekend, where Philly will once again be waiting for him. The Reds were able to hold off Philly for a near sweep. I thought the Reds were about to get swept, but they had that nice little come from behind win yesterday to improve to 4-4 on the season. So that's where we're at. The Reds have taken 2 or 3 from the Pirates. They split the Cubs series at 1-1 because that 3rd game was rained out and postponed a bit later in September. And then they avoided getting swept by Philly, and they dropped that series 1-2. So there's that. But the Reds, again, Nick Lodolo has been fantastic. He's the league leader in strikeouts already with 21, Kev. That's more than Garrett Cole, Jacob deGrom, who are right there at the top. I don't know if Nick Lodolo's, Garrett Cole or Jacob deGrom, but he sure as hell's look like it. I mean, he doesn't look like an improving pitcher. He looks like the game is now just coming naturally to him. Big, tall, lefty, everything you want in a pitcher right now.
It's what you said. You wanted the Reds to be entertaining to get you through April and May, and they're doing that right now. 500 baseball.
What is that from?
Are you not entertained? Shaq said it, but I forget what movie.
Come on, Kev. Yeah, you're supposed to be the movie buff.
What movie is that from?
What is that from, folks? Help us out.
You don't know, so it doesn't count.
No. I steal these one-liners from other people who quote movies.
Oh, it's is it 300? It's not 300.
We'll find out. I'm sure.
Gladiator. It's from Gladiator.
That's what I was just about to say. Gladiator. How about that? Are you not entertained? Yep, Gladiator. Sean Matthew coming through in the clutch. All right, we got a lot of NFL stuff to get to today. I've been trying to do my best to limit the NFL talk, which I'm not very good at limiting the NFL talk, but I feel like a lot happened over the weekend. Something happened in Baltimore that I can't tell if it makes things more confusing or more clear as far as what's happening with Lamar Jackson. Some say it makes it clear. Others say it makes it even more murky. We'll get to that in a moment. Lots of reports over the weekend that Tee Higgins deal is rumored to be done, but there's no official reports out there. So that's why I'm making sure to say they're just kind of rumors for the time being until I see it. Unless it's come out since we started the show with where I'm sitting right now. It's fascinating to me. I have no problem with the Bengals getting a deal done with Tee Higgins. I want them to get the deals done. I want everyone to get their deals done. I don't like this drama that's going on in Baltimore. I mean, I kind of enjoy watching an organization that's always the goody-goody, right? Oh, they do nothing wrong. Oh, but now watching them make mistakes and looking like, that mistake by the lake that everyone always likes to call another team here in Ohio. It's like, my goodness, they can't get out of their own way right now. But the thing so the rumors and the reports and the projections out there that this deal with Tee Higgins, if it gets done, it's going to be close to that $25 million a year range. No problem with that. He is worth that. I mean, you have Tyreek Hill making $30 million a year. He's one of the top wide receivers in football. He reset the wide receiver market. You look at Devontae Adams, obviously what he's done as well. I mean, we've seen a lot of these guys reset the market, or at least set it at such a high clip that teams may not like it, but wide receivers do. And I also don't know, like, it is interesting to me that Tee Higgins is the deal that they're trying to get done first, more so than anyone else's. I think if they had they would rather get Joe Burrow's deal done because they want to get it done first so that they're not trying to play catch up to, Justin, obviously looking over at what's going on, Justin Herbert and with the Chargers. And see, now the baseball season started. Now all of a sudden I have the Padres and all these other names on my mouth. But the Chargers, of course, and then looking over with, Hurts and what's going on with Philadelphia and that type of stuff. But obviously getting these deals, I think this is more the pressure that's being put on the organization from Tee Higgins and his side, because he's like, hey, there's only a certain amount of pie. There's a whole pie for everyone, and not everyone's going to get the same size slice.
Right.
So if I'm first up, I want to get as big a slice as I can. If I wait, my slice is going to get smaller and smaller. I do think that's one reason we're seeing the urgency be as high up as far as getting Tee Higgins' deal done. If he gets 25, Kev, and then Jamar Chase gets close to that 28 to 30 mil range that we're seeing from Tyreek Hill. And then Joe Burrow gets that. Last week, it was a projected rate of about 53 mil a year, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. All of these are projections, but let's be clear. We're talking anywhere between 100 to 110 mil in 3 players. And that does, and the Bengals, they can't draft offensive linemen. So that's why they've had to pay a lot of money on that offensive line to still be average at the offensive line as far as that's concerned. But they at least know their weakness, and that's why they're financially investing into it. Don't have a problem with that. But, Kev, that means you are financially investing every dang dime that you have into that offense, which isn't a bad thing because their identity is Joe Burrow, Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase. The thing is, though, the Bengals, we've never seen anything like that. And what I mean by that is we've never seen a team, Kev, invest every dang dollar that they have into the offensive side of the ball. That's the future of the Bengals if they go this route. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's going to be semi-exciting because you have stars on your roster that you're going to lock up for more than half a decade moving forward. But it's also a gamble. It's a big-time gamble locking those 3 up, Kev, and limiting what you could do on the other side of the ball. That's where I would be concerned. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Bengals play this out.
For me, this is something that I've been talking about basically since last summer is forget it. Just go all offense. If you got to pay your guys, you pay your guys. I mean, these are all guys you drafted to your team, being Tee Higgins, Burrow, and Chase. If you have to pay them, you have to pay them. They rewarded you by getting you to the Super Bowl. And the short end of the stick is that you'll have to go with a whole bunch of has-beens or never was guys or rookies on defense. And that's not a bad thing. I don't necessarily think that every team out there has to be constructed the exact same way, or the simple fact that you're going to have to pay somebody. Why not it be the best guys on your team? And if the defense has to be lackluster, so be it. Because guess what? People come to watch Jamar Chase and the guy score touchdowns. They really don't go there to see, Pratt rack up 100 tackles. If the defense is bad, the defense is bad. Oh, well, we see so many teams out there stretching themselves thin and saying, oh, we don't have enough money to pay you wide receiver or you quarterback because we invested so much money into our linebacker or our safety and everything like that. If the Cincinnati Bengals are going to take the approach of, hey, offense, and defense is going to be young, I have absolutely no problem with it because the studs that they're paying are worth the money. It's totally different when you're paying guys that you're not sure about. I think everybody out there in the NFL is sure about the 3 that they have at the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Again, just with rumors circulating. And again, not very, professional to talk about rumors, right? But that's why I'm making sure to say that's rumors. I'm not even calling them reports. There's rumors of potential reports coming that a Tee Higgins deal could be done. And when I hear that, I keep refreshing Twitter, just waiting to see that come across. And I want this to be known. I'm not a Bengals hater in this situation, okay? Like, I think Tee Higgins is fantastic. Like, I think that he should get paid top value. Same thing with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Not against it, all right? Like, it is what it is. What I've been throwing out there, and people are like, oh, you're just being negative. That's why you don't want the Bengals to sign. To be clear, I'm going to be very clear here. I'm going to use Baltimore as an example. Baltimore has yet to be able to capitalize on Lamar Jackson's rookie run. They couldn't find a way to financially put talent around him when he was at his cheapest. I have no faith in the world that they're going to be able to do it once he gets paid. So I want Baltimore to pay Lamar Jackson. I also know this. I think we've seen the best of the Cincinnati Bengals already, because I think as each year goes on, like we're already seeing it now, this roster last year was the best roster that Joe Burrow will ever play on with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's not a hot take. That's not really opinion. That's just kind of the reality of it. The best roster that Patrick Mahomes ever played on was that first Super Bowl team that they had, when they had everyone ready to go and locked up and loaded, right? From that point on, they started losing more guys. That's fine. That's how this goes. I'm not saying the Bengals will never win a Super Bowl, but the most talented roster that Joe Burrow's ever played on was this past season. They're already worse heading into this upcoming season. They lost Bates. They lost Von Bell. Obviously, you have guys that, well, we drafted this guy to be his replacement. I know that's the plan. Doesn't mean that he's better than that individual, and it doesn't mean that they're better off for it. So I say this as a Browns fan. I want them to do something that no other team has done, and that is to put every single dollar on the offensive side of the ball. I want them to do it. I hope it happens, because I don't think it's sustainable as far as being a consistent Super Bowl threat. They will be a threat. That's not ever going to be an easy team to beat. But, Kev, I'm looking at teams like this. The Detroit Lions this year were a top 3 offense in points per game and total yards in the passing game and the running game. They had the worst defense in the league. They missed the playoffs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, defense, the Minnesota Vikings were the most explosive offenses in the NFL. They couldn't live up to their potential consistently for the duration of the season because they had the second worst defense in the National Football League. The Houston Texans, okay, whatever. It's the Texans. I'm not going to use the Bears really, but let's use the Seattle Seahawks. I talked all the time about Geno throughout the season. Statistically, if you do a blind resume test, Kev, Geno and Burrow had the same season, but Burrow's more propped up. He's more of a superstar, so he gets more praise for it. But guess what the Seahawks' problem was? They scored just fine in the playoffs. What they couldn't do was stop other teams from scoring. They got destroyed come playoff time because they had the 8th worst defense in the National Football League. The Jacksonville Jaguars, great offensive attack. They get to the playoffs. They had a huge lead, and they let that lead slip away. So it's kind of like one of those things where I get it. I have no problem with if I'm as a Bengals fan, I don't want to lose T. I don't want to lose Jamar. Don't want to lose Burrow. Those are the star. That's the star power. That's the sexiness of the Bengals. But with that comes a price, and it's not the price tag of their individual positions, Kev. It's the price of which you're going to pay by losing out on superstars on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not saying the Bengals are wrong. They just may be the first to do something that no one else has done by building it this way.
Right.
We'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, and I think that they kind of have to. I think they kind of have to do it this way. Just like they were able to hit on Jamar Chase and Tee Higgins and Joe Burrow, they're going to have to hit on the defensive side of the ball with rookies.
Yep.
And to be perfectly honest, it's a lot easier to play defense in this league as a rookie than it is to play offense. So they can find dudes that can come in and play and make plays for them. It's really about, for me, how many guys. I think they got the secondary pretty locked down.
In, yeah. They might add to that depth with the draft coming up too.
But right now they still have the linebackers on their contracts that they upgraded and everything like that. It's the next year after that. Who are they going to get in next year's draft to bolster that defense? Because that's when it's really going to kick in financially for the Cincinnati Bengals on that offensive side of the ball, if all the reports or rumors are true about Tee Higgins being the first assigned. Because as soon as the T envelope drops, then that means Joe Burrow is up, and that means Jamar Chase is up next, and all these dudes are going to get paid. In order to pay those dudes, you have to find replacements for the high-priced guys you have on defense, and they're going to have to supplement that through the draft. I wouldn't recommend getting has-beens. I would recommend getting a whole bunch of rookies. And I know rookies come with a whole bunch of inexperience and everything like that, but they're a lot cheaper. And you control their rights as well. Especially the first rounders, you have the options to pick up their 5th-year options in that case and everything like that. If they're good, if they're not, you can move on to the next rookie.
And just keep it cyclical. Now, I will give the Bengals this. The one thing that they have done better than my team and better than Baltimore and at times the Steelers, but in just this mini little run here, they've drafted really well. They've developed really well. The reason they're in this position, this team is built on a lot of free agents, yes, but the core is built through the draft. So the Bengals front office is saying, look, we're confident with the tools we have in place from a front office perspective and this new light that we have finally seen, okay? We're confident that if we put all our money into the stars that put us in this position to begin with, that if we just keep drafting and keep sticking to who we are moving forward, we can keep this train rolling. But like I said, I get it, the sexiness of putting all your money on offense, but we talked about it. Look, and the Detroit Lions aren't like a sexy offense, but statistically they are. They were one of the top 3 offense in the league. they missed the playoffs because they gave up over 6,000 plus total yards on the season. That's the problem. They gave up close to 5,000 passing yards on the season. They gave up close to 2,500 yards on the ground for the season, and they gave up on average 25 points per game. So Joe Burrow and the Bengals, what did they average this year, Kev? Let me see what they average as far as total offense is concerned. And by the way, and they're being paid to put a lot of pressure on those. So the Bengals averaged 26.1 points per game. And I think this past year was their most explosive offense that they're going to have moving forward, just because eventually, you're going to lose some key offensive linemen. You're going to lose Joe Mixon. You're going to lose some of these guys. So if the Bengals average on their best year, Kev, 26.1 points per game, but their defense, because they have to put everything on the is giving up close to 23 to 25 a game, you're going to win some games. You're going to lose a lot of games that you should win. And that's what happened to the Lions. That should have been a playoff team, but they lost a lot of games they shouldn't have because they couldn't stop anybody. That would be the concern I have. All right, good stuff. Good start to the show. Appreciate everyone. I see people jumping in now here in the comment section. You could do so now. Head to the Jocelyn Kinder Show Facebook page, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Your thoughts on this? I'm not hating. I'm not stirring the pot. We're just talking about, I've never seen a team. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are the blueprint for what a current dynasty is in the NFL right now. Elite quarterback, multiple Super Bowls, 5 straight trips to the AFC Championship game. That's the current dynasty. The Bengals have all the pieces to be right in there with them. But even the current blueprint for the current dynasty in football, Kev, they moved on from Tyreek Hill. They moved on from their big-time playmakers, except for Kelsey, of course. But they move on from running backs. They move on from wide receivers. They keep bloating into that offensive line. And the Bengals aren't copying that blueprint. They're trying to create their own, and that's to keep the core of the explosive offense of Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, keep those 3 intact and just plug and play around them. They're trying to create their own. Is it the right decision? Fans are going to say yes because you want the Tee Higgins jersey. You want Jamar Chase's jersey. You love Joe Burrow. You love the triplets and all that. But you're going to do that at the expense of your defense. At some point, it'll catch up with them, and that's what I would be concerned about. Doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong. We've just never seen another team attack free agency or building a roster this way. We'll see if it's right or wrong. Let's see. Sean Matthews says, I think it's easier to build a no-name defense than a no-name offense. You need to score points to win. What do you think when you hear that, Kev?
I agree. I think it's going to be easier to build a defense from the draft than it is going to be able to build a offense through the draft. I mean, how many years have we seen people try to draft the quarterback of the future and that quarterback just burns out? Or how many times did the Lions draft a wide receiver and that wide receiver never pans out? You got two wide receivers and you got the quarterback. I say keep him.
David M on YouTube, he says he agrees. He goes, I'm not a Bengals fan, but it's a huge gamble to use such a large percentage of your future salary cap all on offense. 1 or 2 injuries on that side and they're back picking in the top 10. Well, then they just put it on the defense and offense. No,
exactly.
David, I agree with you. I know you're saying what we're saying kind of, but we're also kind of agreeing with Sean Matthew and some others where I guess would you rather be Baltimore? Well, Baltimore's a bad example. Pittsburgh. Kev's team is actually technically a prime example. The majority of the money going all defense with lack of attack on offense, or would you rather have all the money on offense with trying to plug and produce on defense? You have to ask yourself that what's the route to go as far as that's concerned. Philadelphia spent more money on their defense than any other team last year, Kev. They still lost in the Super Bowl to a team with the number 1 wide receiver being Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, that's
Super Bowl winning.
That's Super Bowl winning Juju Smith-Schuster. Where's he at now? Where did he go?
Patriots.
Oh, the Patriots. The Patriot way. We'll see if the Patriot way truly exists. Keith Tolliver, Kev, says the draft is the key for the entire AFC North more than ever, especially this year. Randy Scott on YouTube. St. Louis defense wasn't that good in 99. They set an NFL record in scoring. You had to go back to 1999. That's my point. It's no right or wrong way, but there are some ways that seem more safe. The Bengals are saying we're not going to play it safe, and that's fine. I'm not saying that's the wrong way to go. I'm fascinated by it. I'm curious. But I asked Kev this earlier. If they paid Tee Higgins top dollar and Jamar Chase top dollar, I can't think of a team, and I'm not saying they don't exist. I can't think of a team that paid top dollar to 2 wide receivers at the same time.
No,
that would be the first. That I'm not saying that's for sure, but as far as me and Kev are concerned, yeah, I mean that's why the Chiefs didn't pay Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. They picked Kelsey over Tyreek Hill. So we'll see what ends up happening as far as that goes. Kinder and Kev, give us a call. 518-1410. Bengals fans, I know you're excited if the Bengals get this deal done with Tee Higgins, but is it smart to put all of your money, 100 and maybe let's say 100 to 110 million into 3 players all on offense? Burrow, Higgins, Chase. You're paying for them, but you're losing other positions. is that smart? 518-1410. Give Kevin and I a call. We'll talk when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast says clear skies and 41 tonight, sunshine and 75 Tuesday, and more sunshine, 75 on Wednesday. I'm Rick Schrempf for 1410 ESPN Radio.
The NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/Kinner right now and place a $5 bet, and you'll get an instant $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Look, I love working with FanDuel, but I have to admit that I'm a little jealous of this deal for new customers. $150 in bonus bets once you place your first $5 bet. There are so many great promotions every day, similar to this one, for existing and new customers alike. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/Kinner and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
O'Reilly. Is your vehicle no longer stopping like it used to? Don't miss spring brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Our professional parts people will help you find the brake parts and supplies you need. Now through April 25th, get 15% off when you buy a set of Brake Best Select or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
At Lowe's, we're always bringing pros more ways to save on the brands you trust. Right now, buy a select DeWalt 12-volt Bear tool starting at $119 and get a DeWalt 12-volt 2-pack battery free valued at $129. Plus, you'll always save big on job lot quantities when buying select building supplies in bulk. Because Lowe's knows savings, Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Lowe's reserves the right to limit quantities. Discount taken at time of purchase. Battery and charger not included with buy items. Valid for buy 3.
Only 1 week left to file your taxes. But don't worry, Jackson Hewitt is racking up the assists. We guarantee your biggest tax refund and guarantee the accuracy of your return for life. So make a fast break to Jackson Hewitt. Our tax pros will get you filed or get you an extension before the deadline. Beat the clock and the crowds. Come in and file today. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes.
Your joints are talking to you, right? They're saying, hey, something's not right. You didn't listen because you thought the pain would go away in a week or two, but it's not going away.
Football legend Emmitt Smith knows you've got to listen to your body. Never ignore what it's telling you. And when it sends pain signals, don't wait. Get ahead. Stop it in its tracks with a visit to the nation's leader in joint pain relief.
That's QC Kinetics. Yeah, they are way ahead of the curve in this pain treatment business.
QC Kinetics says no to invasive surgeries and harsh drugs. They found a better, natural way to relief, using your body's own healing properties that you were born with. And it takes place same day, right in the office during your appointment. No surgeries and no downtime.
Before that pain goes next level, get ahead of it. Go see QC Kinetics. Stop it in its tracks.
Call QC Kinetics 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Want to feed your family without breaking the bank? Take a trip to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 16-piece family meal at a great price. With 16 pieces of our classic honey-dipped, hand-breaded Famous Recipe Chicken, 4 craveable large sides, and 8 fluffy biscuits. It's affordable eats done right. Treat your crowd to the best for less with the Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken 16-piece family meal. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Imagine it's the last ride, but your symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, are taking you for a ride. What should you do? Keep managing your constipation with belly pain the same old way? Or try getting ahead of your symptoms by talking to your doctor about treating it with Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't. It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Again, everybody, happy Monday. I hope everyone had a great Easter weekend. We were off on Friday because the Reds had a game with Philly at 3 o'clock. So it was kind of a 3-day, not kind of, it was a 3-day weekend for us here. And, it kind of went by in a blink of an eye. I mean, it was kind of fast.
Very quick.
Easter, doing a lot of traveling over the weekend. Not really a ton of traveling. There's a lot of driving because my wife and I, our families are from a couple hours north. So it's a lot of driving to this family for a bit, try to, spend some time, and then this family over here and all of that. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are in that situation. And if you're not and have all your families goes by, I'm jealous. I'm jealous as far as that's concerned.
Married life.
But, and the thing is, you never spend enough time with one side or the other, right?
Don't get me started. Normally, I'm feeling like that around the holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, all that ripping and running. I despise it. That's why I love holidays like Easter. I could just FaceTime everybody all weekend long
and
not feel
bunnies,
guilty.
Dude. Yeah, it's kind of. I mean, it was kind of a weird Easter. We had a bunch of dead baby bunnies in our yard.
Oh man!
I was like, "This is happy Easter."
Jeez.
Yep. That'd be quite a.
The hell happened at the Kenner household?
Quite an Easter egg hunt. No, actually, went to mow over the weekend, and it drives me nuts because I knew there was a couple little patches where, the little baby bunnies were. So I have a beagle. So I take my beagle out. So and on a leash, and we walk around the yard, and then she kind of, when I see her get real aggressive, I'm like, oh, all right, there's one right there. I put a flag down, and then I literally take laundry baskets and put them over the holes, and there's a ton. I'm like, it ticks me off because I should just say let nature do its thing, but I can't. People think I'm heartless. I'm not a heartless person. I need to be a little bit more heartless because it took a lot of time to mow a very small yard because I was trying to, put these flags around, put laundry baskets down, mow around them, and then shrink the, how I covered it and try to mow as much as, it is what it is. I'm a good person, folks. I'm a good person.
So tough. You've already started cutting your grass for the year.
Yes. I was the first on my block to do it. So if I wasn't already disliked before.
Wow.
So
man, the old man across the street, he cut his grass yesterday. So I guess I have to cut mine today.
Well, to be fair, this is an argument that I thought that I had won because my wife was mad at me because I wasn't mowing She goes, it's just mow one more time before the end, before we head into the winter. Wouldn't do it. The grass was kind of tall heading into the winter. But then, fall happens, all the leaves cover it, and then the snow pats it down. But so the grass is taller than everyone else's so I thought, I had won that argument. But she was like, you will mow before family and everything this week. I'm like, okay, whatever. Pick your battles. It was nice outside. So is what it is. All right. Kenner and Kev, scoot to your right or the camera to your left, however you want to do it, because there we go. We're off and rolling. We're on the Justin Kidder Show Facebook page, the ESPN Dayton YouTube channel. You could watch us live and hang out with us and chime in the comment section. We always welcome that. So let's get back into this. So we were talking about the reports or the rumors and reports that could be coming out this week of Tee Higgins and the Bengals officially getting a deal done. That's awesome for one, because with some of the reports and projections, it was talked about that 25 mil would be around the range. It could be less than that even. It could come out and be less, but 25 sounds about right. Tee Higgins is a number one wide receiver. The Bengals have 2 number one wide receivers. I think that's key, right? I think that's obvious. So with that, obviously you're not moving on from Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. You're going to take care of him as soon as, both sides come to an agreement there. But that means that the Bengals are going to be close to spending anywhere between $100 to $110 million on 3 players, all on the offensive side of the ball. Now, when you throw it out there, that the Bengals are doing everything they can to keep Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. Well, if that sounds, duh, I would hope so, right?
Right.
But then when you see how other teams so freely move on from their elite level wide receivers at ease, it's like, okay, well, teams around the league, it's not always a given that you marry these wide receivers long term. I mean, the Packers had no problem moving on from Devontae Adams, right? I mean, I'm not saying that it didn't hurt and sting a little, but they had no problem. They knew they had to replenish some draft picks and all that, and they did it. They're paying their quarterback a lot of money. They had to find a way to get some more draft picks back and hope that they could put pieces there. The Kansas City Chiefs, 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, moved on from Tyreek Hill. Now they go on to win one without him, but I don't know if that helps or hurts the Bengals' cause here, because you could say, well, yeah, they moved on from Tyreek Hill, but they still had, obviously, Kelsey. And I'm like, yeah, well, Kelsey would technically be the Jamar Chase of this group. So them locking in Tee Higgins basically says they're keeping all 3, because I can't envision them moving on from Jamar Chase, because that's the bread and butter with Joe Burrow. And maybe they do move on from Jamar Chase. Maybe they have an ace up their sleeve, because Tee Higgins, and I've always said this, from a business perspective, Kev, the Cincinnati Bengals take emotion out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Pay Tee Higgins, because you have to pay him a lot of money, but you have to pay him less money than Jamar Chase.
Right.
You move on from Jamar Chase, and then you build around Joe Burrow, Tee Higgins on offense, get a tight end, maybe change your offense to include the tight end a little more if you need to, because you can get them cheaper than another elite level wide receiver. But that's not going to happen, folks. I'm not even hinting that will happen. But that you would think from a business perspective, that would make more sense. We've never seen a team pay 2 wide receivers max dollar. And the max dollar conversation today is a lot higher than what it was a year ago. We're not 30 mil. All right. And that's what Jamar Chase is roughly going to go for, anywhere between 25 and 30. But like I said, I'm having a hard time envisioning how that works. 3 players, all on offense, all on that side of the ball, especially the wide receivers and quarterback, getting 100 to 110 mil. It can work, and the Bengals are going to find a way to make it work, because they know their bread and butter is that pass game. Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, let the chips fall where they may with everything else. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a situation they have to do it, because they're in a very unique spot from everybody else. Normally, everybody else has 1 number 1 wide receiver. The Cincinnati Bengals have 2. And you have something everybody else doesn't have. You have 2 guys that basically can go out there and dominate a football game. I think you just stick with it, you roll with it. And you know me, man, I'm a person that believes in zigging when everybody else is zagging. I have no problem with the Cincinnati Bengals if they're able to keep all 3 guys together.
So we're live on Facebook, so chime in, Bengals fans, or just football fans in general. Is it smart of the Bengals to do this? I know if I'm a Bengals fan, I would be a huge fan of them doing this, because to say otherwise, that means you as a fan would have to say, bye Tee Higgins, bye Jamar Chase. That doesn't sound natural, doesn't sound right. So the reason I say this is I think it's kind of silly, because it's a gamble, and there's some organizations out there I trust to gamble. Right. I don't trust the Browns to gamble, which they did with Deshaun Watson, but doesn't mean I'm, I can't be unhappy with it. I have to be happy with it, because that's the quarterback that's fully guaranteed moving forward. So I have no choice but to be in support of it. But the Bengals, Browns, organizations like that, I don't trust organizations like that to gamble. I just don't. I know the Bengals have had a little mini 2-3 year run where everything's clicking, but you want me to just ignore the history of the franchise that has been known to, to everything to blow up in their face? We'll see what ends up happening. But on Facebook, Kev, David M says, he goes, I fully understand the reasoning for making such a gamble, but it's definitely a risky approach. Steve Stetler, Because if the Bengals do that, they will have 1, maybe 2 years that they remain relevant. Big fall off after that. Can that money really buy them a Super Bowl win? Let's be clear, too, with the way the NFL works. Steve, I see your point. They have 2 years where they still have enough talent around these guys, even while paid, to still compete.
Right.
After that 2 to 3 year run, I agree with what you're saying, that's where it gets dangerous. But then guess what you do? Tee Higgins, come and get him. Send us some draft picks. Take this money off our books. And now you go buy another good receiver, put him with Jamar, and you just redo his deal and move forward. Teams do this all the time. This is why the Chiefs, this roster's not as sexy as it was 2-3 years ago when they won a Super Bowl, but they just won another one with the less sexy roster. So, but Steve, I agree. I definitely see what you're saying there.
Yeah, because I mean, T just turned 24. So you ride this for 3 years. If they get a Super Bowl, obviously everything worked out in their favor. If it doesn't, you can still shop him at 27 years old, and people will still give you a first or a second round draft pick for him.
Jeff McPherson on Facebook says, I really get the debate. As a Browns fan, I hope they go all in on offense, but then you have to outscore them, and they could use the draft on defense. Good topic as far as that's concerned. Yes, you do have to outscore them, but every Super Bowl contender is averaging close to the same amount of points that they are on an elite level anyways. Like, it was the top 5 scoring, and let me pull this back up as far as the top 5 scoring offenses are concerned as far as points per game and all that type of stuff. But look, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, the Eagles, the Cowboys, that's the top 4. The Bengals are top 6. There's only one team in the top 10 of scoring that didn't make the playoffs last year. The Lions. The Lions, who averaged, by the way, the Lions averaged 26. They actually averaged more points per game than the Bengals did. And they missed the playoffs because of defense. So that's what I'm saying is it's a gamble, but you have to have and by the way, the Lions have decent weapons on defense too. Like, they have a pass rusher. They have some cornerbacks, but it's everything else in between that they're a little lackluster on right now because of where their financial priorities are elsewhere. No right or wrong way, but the Lions are always going to be the example I use. That's an offense that I can't believe missed the playoffs. I mean, my goodness, I'm looking around. They're the only team in the top 12 that missed the playoffs.
How many points a game did they score last year?
26.6.
If I'm not mistaken, they got shut out by the Patriots too.
In one game.
So you got a shutout and you still average basically 27 points a game?
More than the 49ers with Deebo Samuel and all those guys, more than the Vikings, more than the Bengals, more than the Jaguars, more than the Chargers. That's a laundry list of teams. And the Cowboys averaged 1 more point per game than they did. The Eagles averaged 2 more points per game than they did. The Chiefs averaged close to 30. So the Chiefs they moved on from Tyreek Hill and averaged 30 points per game.
Goodness gracious.
Can you move on from Jamar Chase and average 30 a game?
I doubt it.
And I think that's why they're holding on to him and T for dear life. Like, you are our offense identity. Yes, Joe Burrow, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at as far as that's concerned. Let's see. More Kev. Lamar Shelley says the biggest part of success comes from Tyler Boyd and the tight ends. Interesting. He goes, they have to be successful to eliminate the double teams. It's the same thing for a running team seeing 8 in the box. You have to get the defense in man and man-to-man and one-on-ones and that type of thing. I guess I kind of see your point. Look, but Tyler Boyd, it's a lot easier to find the Tyler Boyd. It's hard to find Jamar Chases and Tee Higgins. They're not easily. You can go get a Tyler Boyd. That's a disrespect to him.
Yeah, it's easier to find good than it is great.
Yep.
Just like it's easier to find average than it is to find good. You can find a good wide receiver to replace Tyler Boyd eventually. It's going to be very hard to replace 2 star wide receivers.
Damon Hahn says the Bengals need to continue to invest on the O-line and D-lines. This will allow skill positions to shine, whether they pay the triplets or move on from them.
I was having this conversation with my brother about, salary caps and all that type of stuff. We as fans want the superstars to play at a average player's price tag, but we want our average players to play like superstars. It just doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work like that. Like, superstars are paid a high price because they are superstars and they do superstar things like score touchdowns from 60 yards out and things of that nature. And superstar quarterbacks are able to make things happen that average quarterbacks aren't. And I'm not even really sure that there are a lot of average quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I think there's like a level of very good and great. Like, great is like one guy, then a whole bunch of very good, and then a whole bunch of blah. I think the average quarterback is just like non-existent right now. I think the average quarterback, I would say, would be Dak and Cousins are like average quarterbacks. But then after that, like it's a lot of blah.
Yeah, and blah. One of those blah quarterbacks got paid $40 million. And Daniel Jones. My goodness. My goodness. All right. Odell Beckham Jr. back in the AFC North. Out with the Cleveland Browns, although he didn't apparently like hanging out in Cincinnati last year. He's not with the Cincinnati Bengals, and he's definitely not with Kev Nash's Pittsburgh Steelers. They've gone the diva route on wide receiver, not once, not twice, 3 or 4 times, maybe more, but they weren't willing to go down that route. But he's back in the AFC North. It's with the Baltimore Ravens, and, man, I cannot wait to see who throws him the ball. Who is going to be throwing him the ball? I mean, they finally got a big-name wide receiver to come in and play with their Pro Bowl quarterback in Huntley. Who's going to be throwing OBJ the ball in 2023? We'll discuss that next. Did the Ravens make the right choice in getting OBJ? Does this make sense at all? 518-1410, Kevin Nash and I, we discuss next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Is your child eager to learn, but overly active, easily distracted, and falling through the cracks in the classroom? Summit Academy is the perfect learning environment for students that need the extra push. Their teachers embrace the academic, social, and emotional success of kids who learn differently. They're a nonprofit, tuition-free public school in Cincinnati, Columbus, Middletown, and Xenia. They educate all students, but specialize in autism and ADHD. For more information, visit summitacademies.org or call 1-844-549-8496.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. Excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
When I got the news,
I was shocked. I was scared.
I was angry.
When I heard it could be treated with the right care, I was relieved. I was happy.
I was given a second chance.
Urology Specialists of Ohio offers men peace of mind. 5 physicians and 5 locations. Now accepting new patients. Make an appointment with a physician that cares about your health and prevention. Urology Specialists of Ohio, Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. Online at urologyspecialistsofohio.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Transform your deck with Menards. Pittsburgh Deck Cleaner removes dirt and mildew stains to restore your deck. Get a 2.5-gallon container for $14.99 after rebate. Complete your deck's makeover with Pittsburgh Stain and Sealant. It protects and highlights the natural beauty of wood. A gallon of ultra-advanced semi-transparent stain and sealant is $34.49 after 11% rebate. Good through April 16th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor. An elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change their world, and it will change your own. Unbound.org.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, live on 1410 Wing AM, live at wingam.com, live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, live, and more live. Give us a call, 518-1410, jump in on the conversation, or head to the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page or ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel and jump in the comment section in there. Appreciate all the interaction on Facebook and YouTube today, chiming in on the Bengals plans as far as the, sustaining this run that they're currently on and keeping the core pieces of the Super Bowl contending team in place, not just for a couple years, but for many, many years to come. And then that starts with Joe Burrow, Tee Higgins, and Jamar Chase. And it sounds like the Bengals are close to potentially, according to the rumors, right? The rumors getting a deal done with Tee Higgins. We'll see what ends up coming out of that. All right, we'll stay in the AFC North over the weekend. I should say yesterday, late yesterday afternoon, over the weekend, Easter Sunday, apparently, while others were celebrating Easter with their families, OBJ was, while you're collecting Easter eggs, he's collecting a couple dollar bills. I mean, just a couple. Not a lot, just a couple. $18 million. The Baltimore Ravens, a fully guaranteed $18 million contract to Odell Beckham Jr. Now, we've spent a lot of time over the last year and some change saying how desperate the Cleveland Browns were for giving a fully guaranteed contract to Deshaun Watson. Now, the guaranteed contract for Deshaun and Odell Beckham Jr., there's no comparisons there. But you also have a wide receiver that since 2017 has averaged 4 touchdowns per season since 2017, and he just got $18 million fully guaranteed to be the number one receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. Look, good for one. I will say this, as much as OBJ annoys me, good for him. I did not think he was going to get that kind of money. I thought it was going to end up being anywhere between 8 to 12 when it was all said and done. And I thought it would be with a contender like the Jets, assuming that's where Aaron Rodgers goes, or I thought he would end up somewhere where he'd be playing for a Super Bowl and competing for one. And instead, he goes to a team that technically doesn't even have a quarterback right now. And he gets $18 million. And he's in a position, and real quick before we get into any more of our pitch. So earlier today, Marcus Spears on ESPN's Get Up had this to say, and I want to hear from Kev his thoughts on this OBJ thing. Stone hands, as Kev Nash has always called him. We'll see how reliable he's going to be in Baltimore. But here's Marcus Spears on ESPN's Get Up regarding what this move means for Odell Beckham Jr., his future beyond this year coming up with the Baltimore Ravens.
We know Odell Beckham Jr. loves the bright lights. If Lamar Jackson comes back and him and Odell Beckham Jr. have a record-breaking season, and to your point, he becomes the first wide receiver to go to the Pro Bowl that's in the Baltimore Ravens uniform, that changes the entire narrative. This is also his best opportunity to get a long-term deal. The last time we saw Odell Beckham Jr. play football, he was trending towards being the Super Bowl MVP. That's how good he was. This could be magic. And don't take that Instagram post lightly that him and Lamar Jackson are looking at each other in that particular situation either.
Oh, look, this sounds good on paper, Lamar and OBJ. Sounded good back in 2016. It doesn't sound so good right about now. Look, before I go any further, your thoughts on this. It's not just that they signed OBJ, but it's how much they signed him for. He might be their number one wide receiver option, but that still speaks to how bad that receiving core is in Baltimore. I mean, he's not a number one wide receiver, at least not in my book.
Baltimore Ravens still a well-run organization. I think I'm on like week 7 of asking that question. Are we still sure the Baltimore Ravens are a well-run organization? Because people keep waving that flag. They're a well-run organization. They know what they're doing every time they talk about Lamar Jackson's contract. These last couple moves, like I'm questioning, why are they doing this? Is this the route to go? $18 million, I believe 16 of it's guaranteed, basically $18 million guaranteed. I mean, we're splitting hairs about it. OBJ, I mean, if he would have landed with the Jets, I could see that working, obviously, because it's Aaron Rodgers and all the other weapons around him. But him landing with the Baltimore Ravens with so many question marks about Lamar Jackson showing up, I question him. I question his motives. I question, like, all right, did he just simply go to the highest bidder out there to make a payday? Because we don't know if Lamar Jackson is playing. I know Swagoo makes a good case about, he was on his way to be the Super Bowl MVP, which he was. We talk about, if Lamar Jackson comes back, but that's a lot of past tense and that's a lot of what ifs that go on in the situation. It wasn't a situation like when A.J. Brown was traded from the Titans to Philadelphia, and my mind was like, oh, they got one. They got a superstar wide receiver to go with a young quarterback. And now you have a young quarterback who's not under contract yet, that young quarterback being Lamar Jackson, for another aging wide receiver. OBJ will be 31 in November. So this seems like the Baltimore Ravens MO. We talked about Dez Bryant. He was retired. He came back and played for the Baltimore Ravens. We talked about Deshaun Jackson. He was over 35 years old and done with football, come back to the Baltimore Ravens. And now they get OBJ, who's been sitting out an entire football season, to come play for the Baltimore Ravens. See a pattern here? I think we're all starting to see a pattern here.
Damon Hahn, to your exact point, Dez Bryant was a big name. Deshaun Jackson, Steve Smith, now OBJ. The theme is big name past their shelf life. Steve Smith was a beast, though.
True that. And so was Anquan Bolden. But that's a long time ago.
This is where I have to question the motives of OBJ. Because, by the way, it's very tough to look at a team. I mean, he wanted 20 mil, probably knowing he would, start in the art of negotiation, start high. It's because, you're not going to get what you're asking for, but you're going to end up somewhere in the middle. So start high, or just don't get anything you want, whatever. It's all depending on how negotiations work. But so he starts high, 20 mil, and then he comes at 15. I think in his head, he probably thought he'll be walking away with anywhere between 10 to 12, which is not a bad deal for OBJ. I don't think so at all. But the 18 mil seems like an awful lot for a guy that's coming off 2 big-time surgeries, who was averaging 4 touchdowns per season since 2017. Didn't play at all last season. 18 mil, fully guaranteed. He doesn't even have to play this upcoming season. He can get hurt again, and it doesn't matter. So I question the motives of OBJ. Actually, I don't question him at all. If it's money, more power to you. Can't blame you for that. But what you can't do is after this season, if you don't perform well, it can't be, I didn't perform well because in 2016 and 17, I was on with the down years of Eli Manning and a bad Giants team. Oh, I didn't perform well in Cleveland because it was Baker Mayfield and an overrated Browns team. Oh, it can't be, I didn't perform well with the Rams until the very end because I needed some time to acclimate. Oh, I didn't perform well in Baltimore because Huntley was my quarterback. You were traded to Cleveland. In reputation wise, you couldn't force your way out of Cleveland early on because then you would just be viewed as a constant disruptor. So you played nice for a little bit more power. That's great. Okay. But you chose to go to Baltimore. So if Huntley ends up being your quarterback and your numbers don't do well, you can't know what. I don't want to hear media. I don't want to hear no one in media. Oh, OBJ, he just can't catch a break. You chose to go to Baltimore in one of the most chaotic quarterback situations in the league right now. So I don't want
most chaotic.
At this point, you have the Patriots who Mac Jones, apparently we'll get to that coming up later on. That's pretty, we're talking about star quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson's a star quarterback. How high up that star goes, that's where me and you differ, but we're both on the same page. Star quarterback, all that stuff. Baltimore, OBJ, as far as I'm concerned, this doesn't make sense. I agree with what Marcus Spears said. It's about playing. It's a year to go play for a bigger contract. You could have gone to the Jets, played with Aaron Rodgers. Your numbers would have been inflated playing with Aaron Rodgers, and then you would have been in a great position to ask for a not much bigger, but at least a similar contract to what he got for Baltimore, but more years. Now you're going to Baltimore, no quarterback right now. You're going to be the number one, which you should have self-awareness to know you're not a number one target right now. And you're going to get your 18 mil coming up, but I'm curious, this is the last big contract, if you will, for Odell Beckham Jr. We'll see what ends up happening. Sean Matthew says Ozzie Newsome isn't there anymore. The Ravens are not a well-run organization anymore. I will say this. Pretty women make even the smartest men do stupid things. Quarterbacks make even the smartest NFL organizations do stupid things as well, Kev. Like, seriously, I don't think Baltimore is a horrible organization. This is a small sample size of a couple of years where they've made bad decisions when it comes to their quarterback. But we know that investing in a quarterback is like investing in a new home, investing in a new car. You're investing into something that you want to take your time on and make sure that this is where I'm going to live for the next 10, 20 years. This is where I'm going to drive for the next 5 to 10 years. I got to make sure it's reliable. This is why this is all so nerve-wracking for all organizations. Some dive in head first, don't care. Hey, here's the checkbook. You name your price, we'll take care of you. Others, not so much. That's Baltimore. I don't know. I don't think they're a horribly run organization, but I do think they're in a down stretch right now. I don't think we could take 2 to 3 years and let that be the label of an organization that's won Super Bowls with Joe Flacco and whatever the other dude's name was back in the two. That's all. But you guys bring up a good point. Ozzie Newsome is the factor that if he was still there and this was happening, I think they'd get a little bit more benefit of the doubt. But he's not there. So This is technically a new organization operating under this.
I know Ozzie Newsome still works for the organization, but working for the organization and being an advisor is different than being the guy that's pulling the strings and making things go and signing the checks and saying, this is what we're going to do. And this is the direction of the organization. His last year was when he drafted Lamar Jackson. They went up and back into the first round and drafted him. He was like, that was his parting gift to the organization, a franchise quarterback. And slowly but surely, year after year, they're doing questionable things. And that's my whole point. It's like, I'm not sure if they're that well-run organization anymore. And kind of talked about it before, where at the owners meeting, Harbaugh was peppered with the questions. And that's why I was glad that the general manager got peppered with those questions, because it's really not on the coach. The coach, that's not his job to be answering questions about personnel and signing contracts. His job is to motivate, organize, and win football games. That's the GM's responsibility. So the GM is the person that everybody needs to be directing their questions at, not the head coach.
Is this a sign that Lamar's coming back or no? Do you think OBJ would sign here if he knew for sure Lamar wasn't coming back? I mean, what do you say to that argument?
I don't know. And I know that's not the answer anybody's looking for.
I don't know either, so that's fine.
My thing is, I really think that OBJ ultimately went to the highest bidder, because we've seen other superstar wide receivers dealing with injuries or dealing with things off the field. Antonio Brown, for instance, he had to do a prove-it deal with Tampa Bay, with Tom Brady and everything like that. And it was like $3 million, and hey, you prove yourself and we'll take care of you next year. And then he did that, and they didn't take care of him, everything like that. So I would like to think that the New York Jets were probably trying to offer him those type of deals, and probably the Cowboys as well. Like, hey, you come in here, you play for 1 year, $5 million. Then on the next year, we'll take care of you on the financial side. I really think that OBJ found the best situation monetarily for himself, and it just so happened to be the Baltimore Ravens. I still think one or two things are going to happen for Lamar Jackson. He's either going to come in and play for the Baltimore Ravens at the $32 million and play poorly this upcoming season, or the Baltimore Colts, or the Indianapolis Colts make a trade for Lamar Jackson after the draft. I think one of those two things are going to happen.
Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly.
Protect your engine better with new Syntec Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec High Mileage is formulated for today's engines with over 75,000 miles. Now get 5 quarts of Syntec High Mileage and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $34.99. Limits apply. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Natalia, solid dismount, but that little pause is a deduction.
Top tumblers hope to stick the landing with Coach Jasmine.
That aerial sequence still needs work.
She needs more certified athletic trainers to find her balance.
Focus. I'm going to need you for the all-around. Wait, who's spotting the vault?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Hang out with College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers every Monday at noon on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hour 2, Kinner and Kev live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Hope everyone had a great Easter weekend. We are up and rolling, coming off of what is a 3-day weekend for us. But excited to be back on the air. It's the month of the draft. The draft is still 2 weeks and some change away. So we can finally, I'm at the point now, I'm at draft fatigue at this point.
How? Your team doesn't have any picks.
I give these networks a lot of credit that find 1 billion different ways to ask the same thing. Where do you think they're going to go? I mean, basically, to sum it up, all these networks have found 1 billion different ways to ask an important question that Reds CEO Phil Castellini asked a year ago. Where are you going to go? CJ Stroud, where are you going to go? Bryce Young, where are you going to go? I mean, that's really what it all comes down to. Where are they going to go? At this point, we don't know. It's all projections, all this stuff. I don't know. Draft talk fatigue. But I'm also Aaron Rodgers fatigued and Lamar Jackson fatigued. But at least there's some new elements. There's some new chapters in the book of this Lamar thing. I think this OBJ chapter is going to be quite interesting because I can't tell if this was done out of desperation for the Ravens to say, hey, we have someone here. If they draft a quarterback, we have OBJ and we have Bateman and we have Andrews and we have J.K. Dobbins and an offensive line. I do think you could draft a quarterback and have weapons for them to work with now. There's that aspect of it. Or was this done? Someone asked this. I think it was Scott Campbell on Facebook, Kev. He wants to know, was this done to get Lamar to come back? Was this move by the Ravens done to get Lamar back to the table? The problem is I don't know Lamar, this was never about OBJ. This was never about wide receivers, although it should have been. It was all about money. And unless OBJ's face is on these dollar bills and $50 bills and $100 bills and so on, I don't think this is. Scott, it's a very good question. I think it's a fair question. I just don't think it's a logical question, and not saying that on you. I don't think that that's what this was. Do you?
No. I think what gets Lamar back in the building is his money. And if I'm Lamar Jackson, selfishly, I'm thinking like, okay, that's another $18 million that should be mine.
I mean, it's 18 mil. Good for him. Good for him. And if he all of a sudden explodes and has a great year with Lamar, then a lot of people, I mean, between the haters on OBJ and Lamar, there'll be a lot of egg on people's faces if those two succeed.
Hand raised,
just two different players we're talking about here. So there's that. But actually, no, I'll have two hands raised. You'll have one hand raised. I'll have two hands raised. But this is a guy that Kev has nicknamed Stone Hands out of his hatred for my Cleveland Browns.
No, over OBJ just not having good hands.
I didn't hear that when he left Cleveland. All of a sudden, he's back in the AFC North, and Stone Hands has made a return.
He didn't bother me out
Jealousy
there in
is
the
not
West.
a good color on you, my dude.
He wasn't bothering me out there. He wasn't bothering me out there with the Rams. I wasn't
didn't bother
going.
you with Cleveland. He won't be bothering you with Baltimore either. All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. I believe we have a Ravens fan with us, don't we?
Yep, Grandpa Mike.
Grandpa Mike, how are you, sir? Thank you for being patient.
Roll up your window. Roll up your window.
They are up. I'm driving. I got bad connection here. But you guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Gotcha.
But no, I think the Beckham signing is part desperation and part, like Slagu said, you know, if they hit it off, they look like genius. But as for the Ravens, they definitely have taken a step backwards, and they've done two things. Changed. I never was a Greg Roman fan. I think with a different offensive coordinator, it'd be better if everybody stays healthy. But I think the whole key is going to be they changed their strength and conditioning coach. They fired him or her, whoever it was.
Mm-hmm.
They hired a new one, and because all the players complained about it. And that you look back past couple of years, been still one of the injury-riddled teams in the league. And I think there's a connection there. But as for Lamar, take the 32, play the year, ball out, and then, hey, you can set your price completely.
Not really, because they still kind of have his rights
after
next year
again. They can still tag him one more time.
Yeah.
But then I would think, if he balls out, doesn't get hurt, they're going to say, well, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. It still might not be a long-term contract. But that's what I would do. And Huntley, he's not bad. He's adequate.
I mean, he did almost beat Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
Well, that's true. He had me on nails.
And Huntley, I trust. He almost beat Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. And if it wasn't for Joe Burrow's defense bailing him out, he would have lost to Huntley and the Ravens in the divisional round last year. So just throwing that out there. But, I will say this, we talk about how bad the quarterback situation is in Baltimore. I mean, there's not a lot of teams out there that have two Pro Bowl quarterbacks.
Not one, but two.
Yeah, they have two. I mean, we should all be jealous of the Ravens, this well-run organization crap. Name another team with two Pro Bowl quarterbacks, Kev. I'll wait.
Man, we talk about how the Bengals have two superstar wide receivers. Ravens got two Pro Bowl quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive. But nonetheless, so you don't feel, I mean, so this OBJ thing, I mean, let's say they don't get Lamar back. Huntley's the guy, or do you think your team moves up in the draft to try to get a quarterback?
I would think they would move up, but they seem to like Huntley, and he's performed, like I said, better than adequate in the games he played. He won, 3 and lost 2, or won 3 and 3, whatever it was. But, okay, that's a backup quarterback, but he doesn't have a whole lot of experience either. I think he throws a better ball than Lamar.
Well, he has a number 1 target now in OBJ, so he won't have any excuses.
Well,
he'll get the Baker Mayfield treatment. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a number 1 target.
but
hey, if he can still run fast, it opens up the rest of the field, and that's what they've lacked.
Absolutely. All right, Grandpa Mike, appreciate you, Ravens fan, Grandpa Mike. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and I'll be at the Dragons game tomorrow.
Oh yeah, well, we're talking about the Dragons. Or the Dragons home openers tomorrow, so that's pretty cool. I got my Gem City jersey already laid out to wear tomorrow. I'm pretty jacked about that. So there's that. Steve Stetler says Lamar will not play for the 32. He will sit, and he goes, tagging a guy twice is BS anyways. So why did the players union agree to the tag in the first place? Like, that's what I don't get. Like, this is why I don't take the player side in a lot of stuff with this stuff, because everything that happens to them, they voted on to allow to happen.
Right.
That's saying it's not an abuse of power, if you will, but like at some point, like, this is why when you negotiate this stuff, like, and the negotiations and people I've seen, if you win a negotiation and a deal is made, like, you lose a little bit of that right to say, well, that's not fair. Well, you agreed to it. So if the players Steven, I kind of agree. It just looks bad. Like keeping a guy from making his money. So you keep throwing the tag at him, even though it's guaranteed, it's good money. When they still should be in that 40 to 50 mil range, like all the other elite quarterbacks, like that's why it doesn't feel right. That's what, I mean, it was never about the money when the Dallas Cowboys were doing that to Dak. Everyone's like, he's still getting paid pretty well, but it was about the long-term security of if a season-ending injury happens or heaven forbid a career-ending injury, all that money left off the books that could have been guaranteed, drawn out over X amount of years that could still be yours if you get hurt, yada, yada. So I just don't feel, I get what he's saying, and I think what you're about to say, but at the same time, like, players union voted on this. Players voted on this. So that's why I don't get all bent out of shape when it comes to that. But the optics are bad.
Yeah, the optics are terrible. The difference between the Lamar Jackson and the Dak situation is Dak had the quote-unquote big tag, while Lamar has the small tag. And I use small, $32 million, obviously, to the average American is a whole lot of money. So, like, that's a big difference. And another thing about it is I will have to double check, and I will have to see when the newest collective bargaining agreement was signed from the players union. A lot of these guys that are getting tagged were still in college. So they didn't vote on any of this. Like, they just come into the league, and these are the rules that are set aside. And just like any negotiation, you have to give something to get something, so in the negotiation, I believe that they were able to get a bigger slice of the pie of the TV money. In order to do that, you had to give up something. So the owners were, being owners and like, all right, we're going to have the franchise tag, and we're going to be able to do it. I believe, 3 times they'll be able to franchise tag you. But, on that reverse side, like, when you get tagged multiple times, that number keeps increasing and increasing. It doesn't stay the same. So it's definitely a give and takes type of situation.
So I don't know how often they reset or redo the collective bargaining agreement, but the most recent one was 20.
Okay. But so he was in the league.
Yeah. But to be fair, I can't tell if this was the CBA opened up because of operating under all the new rules and COVID protocols and everything. Was this something that was put in place because of that? Or was that an actual collective bargaining agreement negotiation? I'm assuming yes. It does say the last CBA was in 2020. But was that just a coincidence that also happened to be the year that COVID hit and they all had to go back to the drawing board to reestablish what the norms of the league were moving forward? Because
that's a good question.
So that I don't know as far as that's concerned. But all right, Kenner and Kev here on 1410 ESPN Radio. The AFC North is definitely going to be the most talked about division in all of football, not just this upcoming season, but for the rest of this offseason, that's for sure, especially with all of this stuff happening with Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that is weird when you talk about the Ravens who have 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks on the roster. That is just mind-boggling to me. How about this that's making its rounds on Twitter? Jeff Okudah,
Buckeye,
reports that the Lions are looking to move on from Jeff Okudah, that the market, though, is basically saying he's probably at best they can get back a 3rd rounder for him. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I followed Jeff Okudah's career in Detroit, but I do know we spent a lot of time talking about historically bad their defense was to open up this show today. So what's the value of Jeff Okudah, and take the Buckeyes out of it? I mean, would we be getting defensive? I see a lot of people defensive of Jeff Okudah on social media. If he wasn't a Buckeye, I don't think we'd be caring as much, but he is. So let's care a little bit. Jeff Okudah are they trying to trade him because he has value and they can get additional picks to help shore up that defense? Or is he a guy that they need to keep on this? If Eli Apple, he's not worse than Eli Apple. He can't be worse than Eli Apple. We're going to talk about Buckeyes. He can't be worse than Eli Apple. Let's just put it that way.
Jeff Okudah has not played up to his draft status. He has not played up to his draft status. Well, mainly for his rookie year, he was hurt. I think he got hurt, I want to say, like week 2 and was out the whole regular season. I think he played very well. His second year in the NFL was up and down this past season, but kind of basically reset. Like, all right, well, we spent the third overall pick on him. When you spend the 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft on a cornerback, you're expecting to get Charles Woodson. You're expecting to get Deion Sanders. And you're expecting to get Darrelle Revis. He has not played up to that level, so they're going to move on.
That was, coincidentally enough, the last Buckeye defensive back taken in the draft. That was 2020, right? That was a couple of picks after Burrow.
Was it?
I think that was 20. I could be wrong on that. Let me look that up real quick just to make sure. I know he was the last DB taken by the Buckeyes in the 1st round.
Yes.
But Jeff Okudah, 2020.
No, Damon Arnett was also in that draft, and he went to the Raiders like in the 20s.
But that's the last year that the Buckeyes had a guy taken in the first round. Let's see. When was he taken? I swear it was 2020. Third overall in the 20 draft, and Burrow was taken number 1. Yes, I remember that because Buckeye fans were trying to take credit for 2 Buckeyes being taken in the top 3 picks. Nope, that was not the case.
It was.
All right, Kenner Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll step away for a few moments. We got some red stuff coming up around the corner. The NBA, not the playoffs. The NBA playoffs. It's the play-in. And the most unique thing about the play-in tournament for the NBA is the fact that the games don't count technically. They count, but the stats don't count. Am I right in saying that? Did we talk about this? So if LeBron James was 10 points away from setting the all-time scoring record and he scored 11 points tomorrow night in their play-in game, he would not be the league's all-time leading scorer because these points do not count.
Right. They fade into oblivion. They don't count for the playoffs and they don't count for the regular season.
That's wild to me. I remember thinking when I saw that the Cavs made the playoffs for the first time without LeBron James since he was drafted in the early 2000s. I said, no, they just played the Nets a few years ago. That was the play-in tournament. That doesn't even count as a playoff appearance as well. Very strange. Another interesting note about the NBA. Go woke, go broke. Well, maybe if you're not woke, you may not want to watch the NBA on TV, but apparently a lot of people want to watch the NBA in person. A historic season for the NBA, and historic in a good way. I'll talk about that when we come back. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast says clear skies and 41 tonight, sunshine and 75 Tuesday, and more sunshine, 75 on Wednesday. I'm Rick Schrepp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is everything.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more. For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is everything.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
With over 15 years of experience as your local lawn health provider, Lawn Plus knows what it takes to provide a thick, healthy lawn. We offer fertilization and weed control programs, aeration and seeding, as the best defense against weeds is a thick turf. If your current lawn care company is providing 6 to 8 applications, that is far too many. We offer the highest quality products and service to get the best results in just 4 applications a year. Call us today at 937-839-LAWN, and remember, if you give a weed an inch, it'll take a yard.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at columbusequipment.com.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Divorce forces a father to focus on what's most important, his children. You may no longer be a husband, but you'll always be a dad. In the divorce process, this comes down to 3 key concerns: physical custody, decision-making, as well as financial support. Each of these is important, and it's important that you choose a lawyer that cares as much about these issues as you do.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431. CordellCordell.com.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Uma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Uma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Uma?
Yep. Switching to Uma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Uma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at Uma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
When you least expect it, life happens. You can count on McAfee's 24/7 service to be there when it does. Any season, anytime, McAfee.
ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel is where you can watch Dayton's only local sports talk show. Hang out with Kinner and Kev weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Kinner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. Happy Monday. Hope everyone's had a great weekend. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash, live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, live on ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. If you haven't followed the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, ESPN Dayton's Facebook page, or the YouTube channel, I highly suggest that you do so. That's the best way to interact with the show. And I appreciate all those who have called in or interacted in the chat section on Facebook. We've talked a lot about the Bengals and their plans today with Tee Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. Obviously, on paper, it sounds amazing. Yes, do what you can to keep those 3 intact. But we also know that based on, well, the fact that we've never seen the team heavily invest into 2 wide receivers at once. And what I mean heavily invest, basically give close to $50 million combined between 2 receivers. That doesn't happen. That's usually at times $50 million pays for your receiving core as a whole, and you're going to put that into 2 players. Not saying that's the wrong way to go, but as Kevin and I discussed, we've just never seen a team do that. Doesn't make it wrong, but the reality is it would be the first that we've seen something like that in quite some time. But that's what we talked about. We talked about Lamar Jackson, of course, or not really Lamar Jackson, kind of though. But the fact that we saw OBJ sign with the Baltimore Ravens. I guess Ian Rappaport just tweeted out during the commercial break about 3 minutes ago, Kev, that OBJ has let it be known that he signed with the Ravens with the 100% understanding that Lamar Jackson would be his quarterback. Well, then you're kind of silly for signing that deal until that's done. I mean, unless he's, and again, maybe the business side of him, he called Lamar and Lamar said, hey, we're going to get this taken care of. I'll be in Baltimore. We just got to get through this negotiation, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But it just seems bad business to sign until the team. I mean, this goes for all the moves that the Jets have made too. All these guys signing with New York, signing with Baltimore, but yet neither of those teams have a quarterback right now. It's kind of silly to me. I'd be like, hey, I've agreed to this, but my name will not go on this contract until Lamar is your quarterback. And then from there, you have 100% of my commitment. So I don't know. I don't know if I believe him. This is also the same guy that came out and said that the media was crazy for saying that he wanted 20 mil. He came back and said, I never said I wanted 20 mil. And then about a week later, I want 20 mil. I'm like,
and he almost got 20 mil.
He did. So, and he might get his quarterback in Lamar Jackson. I don't know what to make of this. I thought we had moved on from that. But that tweet that just came out a little bit ago was interesting, that he fully, he signed that deal with the understanding that 100% his quarterback would be Lamar Jackson. I don't know. That's weird to me.
Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens probably were telling him whatever they needed to tell him to get him to sign that contract. As far as Lamar, let me ask you this. What's more likely to happen? Lamar Jackson play for the 32 or this trade with the Jets and the Packers getting done before the draft?
Oh, I mean, with the caveat being before the draft.
Yeah. Because I think we're all agreed it's going to happen. It's just kind of like when.
Yeah, I don't even know what the exact holdup is. I think it gets done.
Compensation.
I think it gets. Yeah, I think it gets done before the draft. I'd say that is more likely to happen. Lamar would be kind of. I mean, Lamar, you don't create this much noise to go play for 32. I don't
really. I think he's just much like we talked about. We've never seen a situation where an organization has paid 2 superstar wide receivers that big money before. Outside of Le'Veon Bell, there's been no other player. There's been no quarterback not to play on the franchise tag, if I'm saying that correctly. They always ultimately play on that tab because $32 million is more than no dollars. And that's why I always said that if he does sign with the Baltimore Ravens for the 32, I think he's going to play poorly because I think he's going to push it to the limit to basically like August and show up and say like, all right, play ball. And I think he's going to play poorly. That or the Colts make a play for Lamar.
So when we say we've never seen something outside of Le'Veon Bell being a running back, although the irony of people calling Lamar a running back, but we've seen guys hold out, but we've never seen a team we've seen Dak play. Dak's not elite. Some of these other quarterbacks, we've seen teams cave for average quarterbacks or good quarterbacks. We've never seen a team not cave for an elite level quarterback. And that's the thing that's what makes this Lamar thing so interesting. Like Dak is not Lamar.
Right.
These guys, I mean, Kirk Cousins is not Lamar Jackson. So those guys like could have threatened to hold out, but I think who blinks first. I'm surprised the team blinked first there. What I'm impressed with, not really impressed, but I'm shocked by the fact that the Ravens have stuck to their guns as far as this is concerned. Like, we know you're Lamar, you're league MVP, you're a game changer at quarterback, but we're not budging, blah, blah, blah. That's what makes this more unique to me than any other negotiation in sports out there, just because of this reason right here. So that's why I think the Jets get it done, because the Jets and Packers want to have it done. I think both want. I don't think they want that distraction during the weekend of the draft.
Yeah.
Because you're building your whole draft based on Aaron Rodgers being your quarterback, and you're building the whole draft based on Aaron Rodgers not being your quarterback if you're the Packers. So I think that's why I think it gets done before the draft, but just get it done now. They're two very strange situations. I've never seen a team build around a quarterback that's not on their roster. That's what's happening right now. That's in the league already. I mean, we see teams position themselves for the draft to go get a quarterback. We've never seen a team position themselves, be told, I'm coming to your team, but it's been a month and he's not on the team yet. So it's just a whole lot of strange scenarios happening.
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait is the name of the game, apparently. All right. So we talked about the NBA play-in tournament briefly just a little bit ago. The NBA play-in tournament tomorrow night tips off TNT, both games on TNT. The Hawks and the Heat. 7:30, the tip-off on that one. And then, sorry about that, the Timberwolves and the Lakers will be the main event tomorrow night. The Lakers, again, they, about a month ago, it seemed around the trade deadline, there's no way this team was even going to make the play-in tournament. That's where they were trending, especially when Lamar. See, when LeBron gets hurt, goes out. But I think the Lakers are the most improved team at the trade deadline. You could say the Suns getting Kevin Durant. The Suns, they solidified their NBA championship hopes with getting Kevin Durant, but I don't think they improved the most. The Lakers are the most improved team after that deadline because they're a completely different team and they're an actual solid team. Even when LeBron's out, they still look like a team that can compete with a lot of teams in the league. Interesting about that one. But the other, let's talk about this real quick. So these games are weird. I don't know how I feel about them. I mean, I guess that adds a little intrigue and urgency and all this stuff. But like, I think, the Lakers, you do all this stuff to help the Lakers get in. But what would the Lakers seed be? Where would they be?
If they win, they are the 7th seed. So that means they would play the Grizzlies.
But what are they right now? If there's no play-in tournament,
they would be 7.
So this is why the play-in tournament works against the league. You risk losing the Lakers over one game when you could have it for a full series.
Since they are at 7, if they lose, they bump down to the 8. So they will have to play against the winner of the other part of the bracket of the play-in. So when you're the 7, you have 2 chances to make it in to the playoffs.
Just a lot of razzle-dazzle for me for a bunch of bad teams. Not my cup of tea, but it's a chance to get extra playoff games, and the urgency will be there because the one thing about the NBA playoffs with the series, you still see some of that load management a little bit, especially with the higher seeds versus the lower seeds. It might change this year because seeding, I think, is as meaningless this year as the most. But sometimes, the 1, 2s, and 3s are going to win. So, they'll sit a guy out here or there on the road if they need to. We just need to get back. We'll close it out on our home floor. A little different, but that urgency is going to be there. You're going to see the Lakers playing balls to the wall, basically, right off the bat tomorrow night. In Minnesota, they're going to be without, Rudy Gobert?
Yeah.
With that whole weird fiasco that went down. But Lakers might be catching some breaks because Minnesota, they're undermanned. I think the Lakers are going to be favored in that anyways.
Yeah.
But they would be favored. And then Memphis, they have a shot to beat Memphis. I don't think Memphis is as untouchable. Memphis' biggest opponent of the playoffs will be Memphis themselves. They're going to blow up themselves, and all that. But, Sacramento, not a lot of people trust Sacramento. Phoenix, they might be without Kevin Durant to start. Is that the talk, or what's happening there?
No, he's played the last 3 games, not this last game of the regular season they sat on, but no, he's all ready to go for the playoffs. KD is ready to go. And they play the Clippers in the first round.
So
I love the play-in, and especially this Heat Hawks matchup. I think this is the Celtics' worst nightmare. Jimmy Butler is the Celtics' worst nightmare because Jimmy Butler is one of those players that can control a game without scoring. Like his intensity, playoff Jimmy, is a thing. And I was really hoping that the Heat would get the 6th seed so they would play the Philadelphia 76ers to see Jimmy Butler go back to Philly. I would have loved to see that. But ultimately, I think the Heat are going to beat the Hawks and then play the Celtics in the first round and give the Celtics fits because that's just what Jimmy Butler does.
So the reason I don't like the play-in tournament is because this is a lot of moving around to get the same results you would have got anyways, I guess is my takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I guess I need to see a couple more years of sample size of games for me to buy into it because the NBA has been so bad at the bottom of the league anyways, but the bottom of not just the league, but they've been so bad at the bottom of the playoff standings.
Right.
That's why I just thought, we're going to put in a tournament for bad teams. Now, that's what is interesting to me with this. I just need to see more, but like, I don't know. Look,
but
I'm excited to see the Lakers.
But some of those bad teams, you just said it. Some of those bad teams are the Los Angeles Lakers, and that, like you're probably about to talk about, that's going to get tremendous ratings. You throw the Lakers in the play-in tournament. I think this is their 2nd time in the play-in tournament, if I'm not mistaken. Their numbers, viewership-wise, are through the roof. So when we get back to a quote-unquote place where the normal bad teams are in there, that will be the true indication of what the play-in tournament does. Like, are people really going to be watching New Orleans and the T-Wolves? But are people just really here to, hey, man, it's LeBron, it's the Lakers, it's AD. Of course we're going to watch.
So it's funny. A lot of people hate on LeBron because, he has the nerve to have political opinions. All while people are like, man, did you see Joe Burrow shake the hands of Trump last night at the MMA fight or whatever? I'm like, I thought we liked when our athletes weren't into politics and stuff. But that's, it is what it is. Anyways, go broke. This is the most fascinating thing about the NBA because I am willing to. So I bashed the NBA last week. Bashed it. All right, that's Kev's baby, the NBA, and I'm bashing. I'm bashing Kev's baby. Okay, so go woke, go broke. Right? I started to kind of believe in that. Not the woke stuff. I get tired of hearing people talk about that. But like the NBA might have maybe not regretted, but maybe have rethought. Okay, maybe we shouldn't have spearheaded so much into issues that would divide our fan base because the ratings for the NBA have been plummeting. Before COVID, more so after COVID. That's not an opinion. Those are the numbers. So I'm of the impression, the NBA has a lot of, and by the way, the wokeness has nothing to do with why I thought the NBA was struggling. The load management, the stars just being bigger divas than in any other era, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just getting old and cranky and that I'm tired of it, yada, yada, all that stuff. But then I see this come out today. The NBA, this is fascinating to me. The NBA, on a year where we were told no one cares about the NBA anymore, it's the only pro sport right now that is declining. Baseball, which was the only pro sport that was declining, baseball's on its way back to prominence, right? Like the ratings are increased in the first couple weeks of the season. Everyone's talking about baseball. They're excited about baseball. Baseball's figured it out while the NBA continues to plummet. Ratings are plummeting, but where people really do the talking is not with their time, but their time and their money. You know, and I thought this was fascinating, Kev. The NBA this season, with all the stars sitting out, with all the diva athletes, with all the athletes who have a political opinion that we don't agree with, the NBA set the record for total attendance, average attendance, capacity percentage, and sellouts this season. Interesting. A record 791 sellouts beat the previous mark of 760 set during the 18-19 season. How about this? The arenas were filled to an all-time high 97% capacity.
Wow.
The average around the league. That is fascinating to me. And this is why I'm always like, okay, and we talked about this with the NCAA tournament. You know, when we talk about what's good for the tournament, all the brand teams making their way to the Final Four, or is it about the storylines of these teams making these deep Cinderella runs and getting to the tournament or getting to the Final Four for the first time? The ratings plummeted. Like, this is where it's a concern for March Madness. The ratings plummeted. That didn't support that theory. The ratings showed less people cared about the Cinderella run into the Final Four, and live attendance also showed that less people cared about that. Now it's still a full arena, but tickets prices plummeted and attendance percentages plummeted as far as that goes. But the NBA, the ratings are plummeting, but the attendance. So maybe that's why the ratings are plummeting, Kev. Everyone's at the
Everybody at the game.
You can't watch the game. This is why I laugh, when people talk about, Dayton Flyers basketball on the radio. Everyone's like, well, what's the purpose of that? Everyone's at the games. I agree. No one's listening to the Dayton Flyers on radio because they're all at the dang game to begin with, or they're on the road supporting the team. Same thing with the NBA. No one's at home watching it because apparently 97%, Kev, that's a hell of a number. Arenas were filled to an all-time high 97% capacity. I went to a Pacers game about a month and a half ago. Pacers are horrible, right? There's nothing on that Pacers team that I care to watch, not even a little bit. And Kev, that whole place was full. They were playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, but that was their average attendance. The Pacers they're close to sellouts almost every night. They're a bad team. Their fans, it's not like the Reds where they have to win to get asses in those seats. The Pacers don't have to do that. And they're actually they're in the middle of attendance capacity, but they still have almost near sellouts almost every home game. It's wild to me. The NBA makes no sense as far as that's concerned, but I think we need to stop with the hot takes of go woke, go broke. I think we need to stop with to your point, you've talked about how people consume the NBA differently because of TikTok and Facebook and social media, that type of thing. I'm going to take a step back on my aggressiveness of crapping on the NBA because people are spending their money on overpriced NBA tickets. By the way, I thought I was stupid how much I spent on a stupid Pacers ticket for one of the worst teams in the league, but people did it. So kudos to the NBA for that, because if the ratings were declining and attendance was declining, I think they would have a real problem on their hands. I don't think they have a real problem on their hands. We'll see what happens.
I think attendance in building attendance is more important than the actual ratings. And we don't need to go into the weeds about ratings and bore people about what we do and how we look at our ratings. But we've learned in our business that not necessarily the actual ratings really matter. It matters about the impact, and we matter about our social media impact and our social media presence and our interaction there. Like, all those things count as well. And I think the NBA does a great job of doing that, especially on social media and Twitter and interaction. And their NBA TV shows, like, they incorporate Twitter onto their shows. So, like, they're not only promoting what's going on across the league, but they're promoting it on their socials and they're having that interaction. I mean, we look at one of the shows that wins Emmys all the time is the show with Chuck and all the guys. Like, they win so many Emmys, people tune into that. My wife intentionally watches that part. She watches the pregame. All right, who's playing? Whatever. We can turn it off or turn it back on at halftime to see what they have to say about the game. The consumption of the sport is totally different from anything else. And I really think that the NFL is the only sport out there that can control our attention span the entire season. I mean, there's 82 games in the NBA. There's 162 in MLB. But the NFL is just 16 weeks, 16, 17 weeks, whatever, how many games they play. It's a controlled spot. So when you're looking at it that way, we have fantasy football is much easier to attract than fantasy basketball or baseball. I think the NBA does a great job of just being in the face of their core fans, not their older fans, because the older fans, we watch it on TV. Like that's how we fell in love with the game. How the younger people fall in love with the game is highlights on social media. I think they do a great job. And attendance, I would much rather watch a game at home, but I'm not young anymore. You know what I'm saying? I want to go to the bathroom in my own bathroom.
But if you lived, so you're from Cleveland. If
Yes,
you
sir.
lived in Cleveland, you would go to more Cavs games.
Absolutely.
So
Especially
that's-
now.
So it's and like the thing is too, like, so us living here in Dayton, you know, our take on that is to go to a game, we have to get in the car, fill up gas, get a hotel, drive, or drive
2-hour
back. Or like,
drive.
so that's the difference. But like if the people that live in those NBA cities, that matters.
Yeah. When my brother was still living in Cleveland, he had season tickets for the Cavs when they were terrible. And then he also had season tickets for the Cavs when LeBron came back. And you could see the increase of just the city in general. You know, we hear all the stories about the impact of LeBron and the winning organization that the Cavs and the type of energy that it brings to downtown Cleveland. But I mean, you got to think about it. It gets cold here. It gets cold here in Dayton. But not only is it cold in Cleveland, we deal with a ton of snow up in Cleveland. So to get people to leave their house to go downtown Cleveland is a chore. But you're giving them a great product, they'll do it. I mean, we see that with the football team. Like the expectations for the Cleveland Browns this season are very high, and they'll pack that stadium in the cold, in the cold weather and everything like that. We see it with the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, people who were down there. I remember that playoff game against the Steelers that Jerome Bettis came on and talked about with the whole fumbling situation for them. I was set to go to that game, but it was raining. I was like, man, I'm not driving down to Cincinnati sitting in the rain. But I watched it on TV. A whole bunch of Bengals fans was out there in the rain watching it. When you have a winning product, people will show up to your product.
But that, remember that weekend of Christmas, how cold it was. Like, I mean, -15, -20.
Yeah,
The Browns,
yeah.
I think it was
Saints.
like the second. Yeah, and that's why they lost that game. But it was too cold. Too cold.
I ain't run that in weeks.
You play in regular temperature and all that. The Browns were in the playoffs last year, man. And then they're the ones almost beating the Bengals in the divisional round. They almost lost to Huntley. Ugh. Can't wait for football season. It's freaking April. My gosh, we have a long time between now and then.
time?
Yeah, got time. But nonetheless, but Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. How about this, NBA? A local star and Luke Kennard. Shout out to Luke Kennard, by the way. We forgot with all the happenings. He was traded at the deadline from the Clippers to the Memphis Grizzlies. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially if the Lakers and Grizz do meet up in that second round or the first round. How's that calculated? The
First round.
First round. Okay, first round. But this season, the NBA three-point leader, Luke Kennard.
Look at that.
He was the NBA's three-point leader in three-point percentage. He was the NBA's three-point leader over the past 2 seasons combined, over the past 3 seasons combined, and over the past 4 seasons combined. Luke Kennard has been the leading three-point shooter in the league for the last 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm. It's like at a 40, I want to say like 43% clip from three over the last couple of years.
Good for him.
Corner threes, buddy.
Good for him.
Corner threes.
His game is perfect for the NBA. Just perfect. That's what Ohio State was hoping was going to happen with Justin Arns from years ago.
Mhm.
That like he had that same type of makeup. Not just because he's a white shooter, but I mean, like just tall, white, can shoot. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. But like Luke had that perfect build throughout his entire career. I mean, he could do a lot of stuff inside the paint, but the NBA, he could shoot off. What makes Luke so talented is there are guys who can just stand spot up shooters. He's not a spot up shooter. He can come off screens, 1-2 step, catch and shoot. Obviously, the crafty lefty, too. That kind of helps as far as that's concerned. But good for Luke. It's going to be kind of fun. And then there's going to be a lot of local tie-ins with this. Obi Toppin and the Knicks. It's going to be tough to cheer for Obi, against the Cavs.
Buddy.
But how about this? Obi's been maximizing the limited
yeah.
opportunity. He's been dropping a few 30-point games as of late. There's a reason that, although his name has been brought up a lot the last 2 years in trade rumors and stuff, the Knicks have been quietly sitting on a guy. It's frustrating for Dayton fans because they're like, the Knicks don't know what they're doing. Actually, folks, if they traded him, that would prove the Knicks don't know what they're doing. I think the Knicks know what they're doing, but they got to cater to the guy that they spent a lot of money on, and Julius Randle, obviously.
And Julius Randle's been balling.
So, yeah.
I think they ultimately will trade him. It just has to be the right trade. Because they
Obi or Randle?
Yeah, Obi. I think they ultimately do trade him. It's going to have to be the right trade.
And if he has a big playoff run or big playoff performances against the Cavs, look out. By the way, with the makeup of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Obi Toppin he would be a perfect addition to the Cavs. I don't know how you get him. I don't know where you play. I mean, I know where you play him, but who do you play him in?
Right.
But just super athletic. Just, you know what I mean? Like, just the crowd feeds off him. The Cavs have a lot of Obi Toppins already, just super likable players that are just always smiling. They make you feel good about watching and supporting that team. But I'm really mad that the Cavs didn't draft him when they had the shot that year. He'd be perfect on this team. Perfect.
Obi's very good, but I mean, you talk about there's nowhere for him to get minutes with the Knicks. The same thing's gonna happen to him with the Cavs. I mean, you're not gonna play him over Jared Allen. You're not gonna play him over Mobley because they're superior defensive players. It'll just be another cog in the wheel. I think he needs to go somewhere like Portland. Like, all right, man, we're just gonna get you out there. You're gonna get a ton of minutes.
Don't go to Portland.
I'm just saying, like, that's where he's gonna maximize his potential, kind of like a la James Wiseman. James Wiseman, hey, the Warriors have championship expectations. We don't have time for you to grow as a player. They shipped him off to the Pistons. Oh man, 2010, because he's getting those minutes, and then ultimately wherever Wiseman ends up staying with the Pistons or the next team, that's who's really gonna cash in on James Wiseman's potential and his abilities, not the Golden State Warriors, probably not the Pistons either.
I remember at the deadline, the Pacers were close to getting a deal done for Obi. I don't know who they would have sent, what that compensation would have looked like. I wouldn't mind him 2 hours away to watch him as far as that's concerned over in Indianapolis.
Naptown.
Interesting, nonetheless. All right, Kenner and Cav, 1410 ESPN Radio. Reds and Braves tonight. The Reds were able to avoid a sweep with a come from behind win against Philadelphia yesterday. And I thought for sure they were about to get swept, and I was already focused on the Braves, but the Reds were able to avoid the sweep. They take a little momentum, which is weird. I mean, the Reds have me in such a loser mentality. I'm cheering 4-4. I'm happy with only winning 1 of 3. The Reds have they've abused their fans for us to say silly things. I'm telling you, if the Guardians were 4-4 and pulling off what the Reds are doing, and Kev was excited about it, I would still be making fun of them. I'd be making fun of Guardians fans left and right, but here I am. By golly, we didn't get swept. I hate the Reds for turning me into this guy. I'm everything that I've hated for years. Do not put up with mediocrity. And here I am cheering mediocrity. But you know what? That's how bad it's been.
They're not that bad.
I just want a winner. That's all I want. Kenner and Cap, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Houday Nation, Betfred has come all the way from England to the great state of Ohio with over 50 years of sports betting experience. No emperors, no movie stars, just a sportsbook you can trust. The Betfred Sportsbook app will be available on January 1st, 2023. Until then, download the Bengals app or go to betfredsports.com and have a chance to win Bengals tickets and exclusive merchandise. Official sports betting partner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
If you have joint pain and they're telling you surgery is your best option,
Please stop what you're doing and call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Keith Byers. The folks at QC Kinetics use the latest, most advanced regenerative treatment to bring lasting pain relief the natural way. Regenerative medicine harnesses your own body's healing agents to restore and repair damaged tissue in your knees, your hips, shoulder, and back. The precision treatments are done in the office with no drugs and no downtime. QC Kinetics has hundreds of clinics all over America and thousands of satisfied patients. If your joints are aching from arthritis or injury, look beyond steroids and surgery and discover the amazing possibility with regenerative medicine, especially this time of the year. You need to be living life to the fullest and doing the stuff you love to do. If you can get relief and avoid going under the knife, doesn't it make sense to check it out? Call QC Kinetics now, 937-936-0325. It's a free consultation. That's 937-936-0325.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk, I would sleep upright with more pillows, but that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just one pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. And here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom.
AC or heat problem? It's BOGO season, baby. Invest in a 16-SEER AC unit and get an 80% furnace completely free. Just pay labor and permits. Call Drake Heating and Air at 937-472-0640.
Have a hot take of your own that you're just dying to get off your chest? Text or call the ESPN Dayton hotline at 937-518-1410. That's how you can be a part of our local shows throughout the week, like the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m., and the Keith Byers Show, Mondays at noon. Call or text the shows at 937-518-1410.
Kenner and Cav here at 1410 ESPN Radio. Graham Ashcraft will take the mound tonight for your Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are 4-4. As we talked about a little bit ago, the Cincinnati Reds, who won 3 games in their first 25 tries last year, are 4-4. Let's go Reds. Let's go Reds. Now, Reds 4-4. Game 1 tonight against the Braves. 7:20 the first pitch. Graham Ashcraft will take the mound. The Reds, throughout their 4-4 start, they took 2 of 3 from the Pirates in the opening season series at Great American Ballpark. Then they split the series with the Cubs. And to be honest, I think some people felt they would have dropped the whole series to the Cubs because they got pummeled in that second game against Chicago. But that third game was postponed due to weather. So they took 2 of 3 from the Pirates. They split the 2 games with the Cubs, and then they avoided the sweep with that win over the Philadelphia 6-4 yesterday. And now tonight they'll be taking on the Atlanta Braves, another top team from on the other side as well. So keep that in mind. So here's what's interesting: Nick Lodolo. We're only 8 games in, a couple weeks of the season. League leader in strikeouts. He has 21.
Straight.
I mean, he has just been dominating when he's on that mound right now. He's been the most impressive pitcher for the Reds. I think that Hunter Green has impressive stuff, but he has not been consistent enough. And what I fear is that we're seeing the early – I think he has too much star power to put him in that Aroldis Chapman situation, or that you know what I mean, when Iglesias, they moved Iglesias to closer. Iglesias was supposed to be this big time starter. Obviously Chapman was supposed to be this big time starter, but they put him in bullpens. If we're only going to drool over the 100-mile-per-hour fastball of Hunter Green, let's just drool about it in the bullpen. Now, I know that's not going to happen, but if you had Alexis Diaz and Hunter Green as your go-to guys in the 8th and 9th inning every single night, my gosh, look out. But look, I'm not panicking when it comes to Hunter Green, but I mean, it's been an interesting start nonetheless. A lot of the same issues he had last year he's having this year. Nick Lodolo looked great last year. He looks even better now. In the first 4 games and a couple starts for a lot of these pitchers, the one thing I know for sure, the most improved player thus far, with a lot of time to decline, of course, Nick Lodolo has been unbelievable, Kev. More strikeouts than anyone else in baseball so far, and that includes, I mean, some big names on that list like Garrett Cole and Jacob deGrom and others who have 19 and 18 apiece at this point. It's been solid, but obviously the Reds are losing because of the deficiencies that they didn't try to plug financially in the offseason. So they're the Baltimore Ravens. There you go.
But they don't have 2 pro quarterbacks.
Yep. But all right, folks, have a great for Kev and I, we'll step away for a few. We'll be back at the top of the next hour, but I appreciate those who hung out with us on Facebook and all that type of fun stuff. But it's going to be interesting. Reds Braves tonight, game 1. Reds come away with the win.
Yeah,
just say I think I grabbed.
Yeah, I just want to see. I want to see Shaw mad. Gardos have the Yankees, and they desperately needed to beat Seattle yesterday. They won in a walk-off because they had lost 2 in a row to the Mariners. So they got the Yankees tonight.
6-4 are the Guardians. They're 10 games in and a couple of games better than the Reds. The Reds and Guardians, man, I've always said they're very similar. If they're similar, then the Reds are playing better and your team not playing up. The most impressive team, Ron, if you're listening.
Oh, my goodness.
Ron's Rays.
What, 9-0, right?
9-0. They're the only undefeated team. The longest win streak to begin a season in the last 20 years. And they're not just winning, they're dominating, Kev. I mean, every win has been by at least 4 runs. It's the second longest streak to begin a season ever, winning by at least 4 runs or more. It's the best run differential through the first 9 games since 1884.
1884. Goodness gracious.
I hate baseball. There's all these pointless stats. I don't know what any of that stuff means. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know what it means. I don't know. Gotta love baseball. Kenner and Cav, 1410 ESPN Radio.